RealTuners Radio.
What's up, everyone, and welcome. You're listening to RealTuners Radio, episode 28. For tonight's guest, we have a connoisseur of all things automotive, Chad Reynolds of Bangshift.com. We also have, as usual, our panel of experts on hand, which include Mark Dahlquist and Throttles Performance in the Great White North of Fargo, North Dakota, Scott Evans of Evans Tuning in Vegas, Chris Delgado of Pro Speed in Houston, Texas, John Bewley of Little John's Motorsports Solutions out of Bowling Green, Kentucky, Tom Sewell, founder of Fuel Injector Development, James Short, Shore Tuning by way of Danville, Kentucky, Bill Fowler with Bear Brakes, Doug and Andy Cook of Motion Raceworks, and me, the guy who everyone is trying to figure out what exactly it is he does around here, Rye Klemp of Bull City Speed.
Are you interested in taking a live in-person class with RealTuners? We actually give live 2-day courses in dyno shops across the country. Our first class of 2018 will be in Houston, Texas on January 20th and 21st. For more info or to make a reservation, go to RealTuners.com or message us at RealTuners LLC on Facebook. Learn how to tune your own standalone EFI system like Holly, Big Stuff 3, Megasport, and Microsport on the chassis dyno. Includes topics such as traction control, individual cylinder tuning on a budget, and power adders, all designed to help you get your project running successfully in a class taught by people who actually do this sort of thing for a living. Greetings, what's going on? Salutations and all that good stuff. So, let's see. It's a Wednesday night, December 27th. Hope everybody had a Merry Christmas out there. See a lot of you guys logging in already. Man, so, dude, I'm going to reiterate. It's really cold up here. Well, I'm up near Omaha, Nebraska, and it is like 6 degrees outside, so it's cold, in case I didn't let you know that. Huge shout out before we kick things off tonight to our a customer of many of ours, actually, William Tetro. Nice guy. Dude sent a bunch of us, or at least a couple of us, some Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Select for Christmas. And I'm testing mine out tonight. I don't know, Mr. Bewley, you got some, and I'm not sure when you're test driving yours, but...
Test drove it, man. You're like 2 days behind on that.
It's already gone.
It ain't gone. I mean, it's the whole fifth. I don't drink it that fast. You know, I was just stoked to try it. It's the first.
It's good.
Yeah,
it's real tasty.
I've actually liked.
I'm not normally a whiskey drinker, and I'm, like I said, drinking at room temp, just a little bit, sipping it, and it's tasty stuff, man.
Yeah, it's really good.
Jake says it's minus 22 in Minnesota this morning. Yeah, I'm with you.
So I guess I should start this off and just go ahead and be the dick right away and say that it's still at least in the high 60s outside of California right now.
Is that because of your forest fires? Or is that like
whatever, dude.
Natural weather?
We don't call those forest fires. We call them campfires.
Right. Out of control.
Warm and toasty. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're all out of order now, but that's our guest, Chad Reynolds, for the evening. But Rye, man, I'll let you introduce people. You talk a little bit. By the way, I'm Scott Clark, right? Forgot me in the intro there. It's a pretty badass intro, except it didn't have me. So anyway, whatever. But
let's not talk about who wrote the original intro.
I did write the script.
Gentlemen, our guest tonight that is bragging about his beautiful weather out there in sunny California is Chad Reynolds of Bangshift.com. This guy is a jack of all things automotive, pretty much. He's been everywhere, kind of done every single thing.
He said jack
there.
of.
I swear to God he did. That's really what I thought. He called me a jack off. Dude, I thought we were friends.
He's a jag off in all things cars, blah, blah, blah. No, but he's done everything. He's the voice of Hot Rod Power Tour, Good Guys events, tons of
Engine
Hot Rod
Masters
magazines.
Challenged. He's done over the years, NHRA Unleashed.
You name it. Look for flip flops
drag
and
week.
a big old goatee.
Yeah,
that's where you'll find him.
But
we're really glad
the voices
to have you on
of our
the show,
generation.
man.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Welcome, Chad.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. I'm glad to be here. I love listening to the show, and so
shut up. You don't listen to the show. It's all right.
I do.
You don't get to say that.
I have to say the very best one so far was the one with Yost on it because like the questions just kept going.
He does listen then. Yeah.
So well.
So
but like
poor Eric.
There's so many cool things that he has to say.
If you go back and listen to that one, that guy basically just stood at home plate and just cracked him out all night long. Right? Just boom, left, right, straight. Where do you want it? Babe Ruth style. Eric, that was a great show. Man, we will have him back.
Even after the show was over, we were just talking and chatting it up afterwards. He was still going. And I had a million questions.
He had some better stories.
Yeah.
The better stories are the ones you can't tell over over the airwaves. But yeah.
Yeah. It was awesome.
Oh yeah.
It's just such a cool inside view to like what goes on behind the scenes in motorsports that a lot of people don't get to see or hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny when you hear some of those stories he tells you and you think, oh my God, I can't believe he can say those in public. And then you turn the mic off and then you hear the other ones and you find out that those might have
Yeah, exactly. You're like, oh, those weren't so bad.
In band camp. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, like what's the statute of limitations on
I don't know. It depends on your contract, he said. That's what he was saying. A couple of them was like, I can't talk about this particular thing, but it reminds me of this story. And yeah, he's just seen and done a lot, and started off at an early age doing it. So it's cool. But anyway, it tells me that maybe you do listen to some of these, Chad. I'm impressed. The origins of the show come from 3 years ago at Streetcar Supernats when you guys were up there on the tower. And you were like, dude, this event is so cool, but it's the Oil Down Nationals. He's like, I'm wearing out. I need someone to come up here and talk to some of these people. And so he's like, hey, why don't we do let's play Stump the EFI guy. I did it the first year with you. It was your idea, really. And then the next year I did it with Loans when he was up there in the tower during like a 45-minute oil down. We're like, all right, just ask some EFI questions. And if I can answer them, I will. And it was the same thing, just bam, people coming at us like crazy. And I thought, we should do a podcast on this. So here we are. It's actually a live broadcast. And most podcasts are pre-recorded, put together nice and organized. This one's kind of off the cuff and live. But
that makes it more fun.
Hell yeah, you can interact with people. There's a crowd. There's a couple hundred people listening to us that are. It's going to be have some interesting questions. But
and you know how many live broadcasts we do on Bang Shift, and the number of people that we talk to. During the breaks, like you said, and, people are asking tech questions all the time. They're asking all kinds of stuff though. I mean, it's cool because of the fact that it's actually interactive right then on the fly.
And you have 18,000 people asking questions, not 204, right?
Yeah, well, that's true. We do have tens of thousands and it's hard to keep up with them, but it's cool. It makes it fun.
So I'm going to roll Chad's slideshow. I grabbed some pictures.
Yeah,
it's all right. Stuff I took from the Larry Project, stuff I just found off Google image search. But anyway, so no, it's just it's good to have you, man. We're kind of laid back. We've had a couple of really intense episodes. Last week, we had Caleb Newman and Chad Spire on here talking about airflow stuff and specifically intake manifold designs. And that podcast will go down as like a must listen for anybody who's thinking about building their own intake. Like I saw at least 3 different guys on Facebook who were like posted hey, I listened to this podcast and I'm rethinking what I'm making here. And it was good. It's got people going, but we can't. Oh God, my brain hurt after that.
I missed that one last week, but I listened to it a couple of days ago and I never considered building my own intake, but that made me want to.
Same here. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's cool.
Well, I can tell you that I have been around for some serious intake manifold testing over the years. And I can tell you that one thing about it is not to get too caught up on it looking like an intake manifold.
Oh, yeah.
Because the truth of the matter is, dude, duct tape and some plastic tubing and, this and that. I mean, we'll make an intake manifold that works depending on, what you're trying to do with it. And it's cool as hell. I mean, Scott, we've talked about some variable runner length designs that in truth are actually used on a regular basis now with
OEMs are doing that stuff. Yep.
You know,
and if they're doing it, it's worth looking into, obviously.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah. Well, one of the things you guys were asking me about was like sponsorship and stuff, and how people go about getting, say, a free intake manifold or what have you. And it's one of the questions that I get. Oh, dude, like I'll bet you realistically at least every other week somebody sends me an email or a text message or gives me a phone call asking about how they should put together a plan for trying to get sponsorship or what have you. And quite frankly, I would tell you that most of the people out there, if you are thinking, if you can spend the same amount of time that you're going to spend doing the planning and the proposing and the supporting a sponsor and all that, instead earning money so you don't have to ask for free parts, dude, do it.
Right.
It's so much better when you don't have to owe somebody something.
Right. That's what I thought we would talk about tonight. Just and I'll introduce that topic because I know Chad. I mean, I know you a lot differently than some of these other people. You're one of the few people like in the car business that it's actually like a family friend of mine that I've known for like 15 years. So it's not, he's not, Chad never needed my help with the fuel injection stuff. So he's not like that kind of friend. Like, this guy like Scott because he makes my car run or whatever. No, it's like actually like been family friends with this guy forever. We go back a long ways since the first drag week. Well, so I got to work with him on the Larry Larson project, which was interesting. That was what I would call probably the highest level of the grassroots category of sponsorship. Like I told Chad earlier before the stream started, if you got any bigger of a deal in sponsorship, then it'd be some national advertising thing, and it would just be lawyers going back and forth negotiating contracts. But it was probably the pinnacle of like the average guy listening to our show, what he would consider. Hey, get sponsor parts for my car. I've got an agreement with these sponsors. I'm going to shoot for this goal. They're gambling that I'm going to achieve that goal. So a lot of these guys don't understand the pressure of something at that level. When you're riding on $100,000 or $50,000 worth of parts from these guys, you can't just say, hey, man, people are going to see me. Tons of people are going to see me at my local 8th Mile. It's like, no, I got to go out and win a national level event. You got to do something for that kind of money that the sponsors are throwing at you. So anyway, I saw you guys do that. I saw you execute it. I saw you guys achieve the goal. Know a little bit about why it is. It's because you had the right players involved. But I mean, feel free to talk all you want about whatever topic in that world.
Well, it is that was awesome. Like the truck is such a cool project, and obviously, Larry and I love that thing. We honestly, I dreamed that thing up. With a different body on it, but I dreamed that thing up literally on the way home from the very first drag week. So I like to say that every single guy out there who has done drag week since the first one is at least 10 years behind me. Because literally on the way home from the first drag week, I said to myself, okay, the way that you win drag week from here until forever and you ruin it for all of them because Hot Rod doesn't have any good rules, is that you take a Brogy Roadster and you put a twin turbo big block Chevrolet in it and you go kill everybody.
Right.
And I...
Car that'll weigh 1,800 pounds, right? And it only needs to make like 900 horsepower to be super fast. Yeah.
Yeah, I could have ran 6s back then with nothing. I mean, literally no power. And one guy tried to do that a few years ago, but he decided to try and do it with a small block. And, I don't understand why people, you need to decide whether you're trying to build something that's cool to you or something that's fast, because those are two different things.
Start to get into the point where you got to build it for the class,
Yeah.
Which is what,
I mean, just do what you got to do to go fast. Screw I'm a small block guy. Like, come on, But anyway, so I wanted to build this. So I came to Larry and I said, years later, and I said, hey, let's do this thing. And he said, I don't know. We hemmed and hawed over it for a few years before we got to the truck. And then, I don't know, for probably 6 months or so, we really started, talking about it seriously. And then we got off the phone one night and said, okay, let's touch base again in a couple weeks and see if we, really think this is what we want to do. And a couple weeks later, we got on the phone and Larry said, I have a truck. I'll have it tomorrow. And just so anybody knows, that's actually not the first truck. That's the second truck. We started out building an extended cab. So we cut up an extended cab pickup truck that was a perfectly, fine truck. And then realized that the weight distribution would be totally screwed up and the motor would have to be in the cab with us and all this stuff. So we scrapped that and went to a standard cab. But we decided, okay, we're going to do it. And we sat around and we hashed out all the stuff, and I said, okay, let's do a removable cooling system. Let's do all these different things, right? For weight and, 2 sets of doors and all the trickery that we have, right? But what it really came down to, because you can have all these great ideas, is how in the hell are we going to pull this off? Because I'm a broke dick. And Larry can build anything, but he's also not some rich guy.
No, he's not going to drop $150,000 on that goal. Not of his own money.
No, exactly. And we both said, there was a couple things. I said, look, I'm willing to do this. I'll go to bat. I'll manage everything I can to get us all the sponsorship we can. And Larry obviously had some good relationships too. And it was one of those things where I said, okay, my only thing is has to be ours. Like, I want to drive this thing. I want to race it. I want to do all that stuff. And I have not raced the truck yet because of some other circumstances, but that should happen this year, which will be nice. But we really set a goal. We said, look, we can't go broke. We both spent way more money of our own than we should have, but
yeah.
But we really made a conscious effort not to. But I will tell you that you're doing it right when both of us had to pay off our credit cards more than one time in 1 week before going on Drag Week that year. But the big thing was we sat down, we made this conscientious plan on what it was we were going to do with the mechanics of it. What are we going to do in order to reach our goal of being the first 5-second streetcar? And what do we have of the things we need to do that? What do we need to get? Who do we know that makes those, would want to support us, would sponsor us, would whatever. And we literally just started making this tiered list, and we got a ton of sponsorship. And it goes beyond the big stuff that you think of. So in a lot of people go, oh, I'd like to get somebody to sponsor me for an engine. And, quite frankly, that's pretty rare. Okay. I can tell you that because my wife had, she got sponsored by Blueprint for a full engine for her car, which was amazing. And I'd never been able to pull that off, but she looks better than me.
I was going to say,
pulled it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Girl power and all that. But the thing is, we got sponsored for pistons, we got sponsored for rings, we got sponsored for bearings, we got sponsored for, the studs that go in the engine from ARP. Like, you have to think about the stuff in the smallest possible package, Yeah. And when you're all said and done with all that stuff too, then it's not just about the part, but it's about what are we going to do to get attention for that part? Because quite frankly, gone are the days of, building a car for a magazine story and then, going, oh yeah, it's got this, this, and this in it, and just putting together the stuff that's that's a list of parts, that are in it in your editorial story. Like, that's not the, way it works anymore. Now you have to actually put, there needs to be tech about each of the products. There needs to be, real information in order to make sure that you can get the right exposure for these people, because it's not, it's not the old days anymore. They're expecting tons of social media exposure. They're expecting editorial exposure. They're expecting all that stuff. And when you start thinking about the real numbers, you'll understand that if you go to 20 events and 100 people at each one of those events comes and looks at your car, that's really not a big deal.
Not anymore.
No. It used to be, but now they want to see thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people seeing your stuff. So it all comes down to all and how you work them together. But it also depends on what you're going after, right? So you got to remember that, like an intake manifold from Wilson, okay, is a high dollar, really bitchin' part, okay? A thermostat housing from Mr. Gasket is a pretty cheap, easy part.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's, you're talking about hugely different dollar values on those. But then the other thing you got to remember about that too, though, is that the at Wilson, it's a lot easier to get somebody on the phone. It's a little bitty company in comparison, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Gasket, getting to go see, somebody at Mr. Gasket or talking to them on the phone, going to be a much bigger deal. So even though you're going after a small part, it's going to take a lot more work to get there. I guess the point is, you really got to put your homework in on this stuff, and you just can't expect it to be easy, and you can't expect that just because you ask for it, you're going to get it, because, man, we got told no on a bunch of stuff. I mean, bunch of
stuff. I can't call and actually talk to Mr. Gasket?
No, Mr. Gasket is no longer with the company. He actually retired. I love that, though. I really do. No, but so there's a Rossler Turbo 400 in that car, right? Or in the truck. And, Carl and the gang over at Rossler put that thing together, obviously did an awesome job. But, Joe at Pro Torque, his group, I use Pro Torque torque converters almost exclusively. And I will tell you that they are great in everything from a tow vehicle to a Pro Mod car.
Joe spoke at one of my classes. Dude's a badass. Yeah, absolutely
dude,
amazing.
A certifiable badass.
Yeah,
and also
hang on every word. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he really helped us out on the torque converter side of things. Reed, who builds the cases for all these, heavy duty turbo 400s. Normally Carl buys cases from Reed, and they put all these hard parts in the in the case, and they build it up with all of their proprietary trickery and all those things, and they send them out the door, and they cost $11 bajillion.
Right.
Well, that's great, and they're worth every penny and all that. I mean, whether you get one from Carl or M&M or any of them, they do really good work. But the parts that are inside them, a lot of them anyway, are parts they buy. So while you normally would call Rossler and get this transmission, we looked at the transmission as a pile of components. So we called Reed, and I called Reed and talked to them, and they were just the nicest people, I have to tell you. They're out of Northern California, and they were happy to come on board. So they sent the case and the tail housing to Carl and said, "Here, Carl, this is for the Reynolds and Larson project." Cool. And then the converter again came from, Joe, and we got hard parts from different people, and, and clutches and all those things, so that when it was all said and done, instead of Carl and the Rossler team, doing tens of thousands of dollars worth of work and parts to us, they were doing a fraction of that, because it was really half as many parts and then just the labor, and so if you put the thought into those kinds of things, you can really help out,
Yeah.
Because you got to think about how much this is going to cost them, because something like a transmission isn't just a machine makes the part and spits it out and down a chute and it gets put in a box.
Takes support, maintenance, questions, keeping it maintained and working for you. Yeah. Who's going to pay that? Ugh.
Oh, yeah. And, the guys at Proline, they put the motor together and they have maintained it. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. Nobody else is going to lie to you about the fact that that motor's been out of the truck multiple times. It has been hurt a couple of times, luckily minor, injuries. But,
I mean, when you're making Pro Mod power with it, you're gonna have Pro Mod service and turn.
Dude.
Yeah, that's how it is. I mean, it's pretty normal.
And I mean, you're talking about 620 cubic inches. That's
a little bit smaller than some of the Pro Mods. Yep.
Yeah, well, and it's a water block, and so I mean, truthfully, it would be way easier to go this fast using like one of the 481X combos, but then you can't drive it on the street because there's no water in it.
Right.
I mean,
making it live on the street becomes impossible.
Yes, that is way harder than you would think. I cannot tell you the number of lifters I've put.
Bradley Nagel is not on tonight, but he's the one that screwed that motor together while working at Proline. So
yes.
Cool. We all were kind of involved in this. And it was funny. I was working that summer contracting with Proline, helping develop the fuel tech system. And it was, then they started talking about this. I'm like, oh shit, I know Larry lives 2 hours from me. I didn't really know him too well. And I mean, cause I'd seen him at Drag Week and he had won 4 times. And I knew he lived like 2 or 3 hours away from me in Kansas City. And I did talk to him for a minute a couple times before that year. But then you guys, we all met at PRI, and I guess Proline kind of dragged me along and said, hey, since Scott lives close to you guys and he's working with us, we're going to have him go and put this new EFI system on on the engine that's going in there. And it was you were the third people to have the third moving vehicle that had the Fuel Tech FT500 on an engine. Nobody knew how to use it. No one was trained yet. They were just finishing the manual, so they sent me along to go help them install it. I was just supposed to help make it work, and then ended up, like, me and a buddy of mine ended up thrashing and helping wire the whole truck. I mean, we're wiring, like, it's kind of weird to be wiring a smart wire and a trailer brake controller at the same time. There was not quite like any other race car out there.
That makes total sense. Yeah. What are you talking about?
Well, and Chad's like, hey, dude, don't forget to put this USB charge port in the passenger side for us. And, I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. So I kind of managed that group. And it was not pretty wiring the first time around. He's since gone through this last year and redid everything, and it's nice now. But we got it done because it was, behind schedule because there were parts. Some of your sponsors were late getting parts. Parts batches come out late. That's just how stuff works. It's natural when you run exotic stuff. And it came down to the last minute. Like, I remember we started the truck for the first time, and we had to start putting that thing on the trailer in like 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Had some noise, and I come up with a tinfoil solution to get rid of some noise on the crank trigger. Looks like it's clean signal. All right, we'll go drive it later. Go put it in the trailer, Okay, and then you find out the next day you're getting ready to Drag Week, and it's, we got this. We had a plumbing error on the mechanical pump for the methanol side, so we spent all day chasing down plumbing to get that right. And sure enough, we were the last guys making a pass. For the first day, for Monday of Drag Week or whatever. I mean, everything on that thing was just last minute, and it was a rush, but you got it done. It was an interesting way of managing a project. So that was neat to be a part of.
Well, one of the things too, you say that, and that makes me think of one other thing. So when let's say you're deciding you're going to, and honestly, like, my friends in the pro touring community are probably, as guilty of this as anywhere. The pro touring world, tends to be a lot of high end cars and stuff, but relatively new to the sponsorship scene because it just wasn't about that for a long time. But I've seen in the last year, especially 2 years, leading up to SEMA, where people have went out and did their proposals and did all their stuff and got their sponsorships set up, and they got people giving them parts and all those things, and but they didn't do the best job about planning out the project and really budgeting, because no matter how much sponsorship you get, literally, unless your sponsorship is that Chip Foose is going to build you a car for nothing and deliver a running and driving car to you, then you're going to still have to buy parts and acquire parts. And so if you are not prepared to make the project happen, even if some parts supplier fails to deliver, or even if you realize that you mismanaged your budget by $5,000 or whatever, you have to still deliver it by the time you said, or else these people are going to pull the plug on you. The rest of the people that did give their parts on time, They don't give a crap whether somebody else did or didn't. That's not their problem.
They gave their part. They expect something for it, and I don't blame them one bit. Yeah.
No, and you and I have both ran into that on multiple occasions, and that's a tough one too. So, because let's face it, every hot rodder thinks they're going to build their car for half the money and in a quarter of the time it really takes. Yep. I mean, that's just how it works. We were literally working on the truck on the road, and Larry worked on it every day after work except Sundays for the entire year.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. When nobody else was around, towards the end of the project, the last 3 weeks, there's a dozen people in there helping out, but that's the guy that put in all the hours. You got to think of the hours and what he's worth an hour. He's probably $150 an hour type of guy, Right. It's his money, really. So
I lived there for a month or longer, maybe 6 weeks. I lived at his house working on that thing and flying out every weekend to a race or whatever.
That's where Chad fit in the pecking order, because I lived in the trucker hotel behind that place for like the last 4 weeks. And I'm pretty sure I just basically just go in there and spray down with off. Before I
had a really comfy spot at Larry's house. He had a great guest room, I got to tell you.
No, I made friends with the people that own the trucker hotel, and they actually have like a wing of the hotel that's like super clean and brand new. That was kind of funny. And I was like, he's like, yo, you stay in this room. Oh, thank you. Okay.
That's awesome.
I remember that place.
Yeah, you know exactly. Booley, I remember because we were arguing about something on Facebook, and I remember I was living there. You did know where that truck stop was and everything. It's the
truck stop. Hell, I know where Larry's building sits, because it sits right, because like he's literally right off the interstate.
It is
right off of the exit there.
The frontage
where the
road
truck stops are in Oak Grove. Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how many nights that I slept in the parking lot of that that hotel, because they've got a gravel lot off of the frontage road. Well, the parking lot for the truck stop was always full, but the hotel parking lot, you could always
stretch all the way out
there.
Yep.
Yeah, you could sneak in there and find a spot. And I honestly think 1 or 2 nights when I had ended up without a trailer there in Kansas City. I think I ended up in the parking lot of Larry's building.
Right,
because the parking lot of the hotel is full.
Yeah,
he does, and you slip down there and go to sleep, and just set the alarms. That way, you can get up and get out of there before anybody comes in and runs you off.
It's an unassuming place. But it is all kind of off to the quiet, and it's not the worst truck stop in the world either. It's by far, actually. But I stayed at that hotel for like a month, and then the people that own it are really cool.
Well, I never stayed in the hotel, but on the way to Larry's for the beginning of that final, 4 to 6 weeks, whatever it was, I had the frame of the trailer, our drag week trailer. I built the chassis for the trailer. We had to skin it and stuff when I got there, but we had, the structure of it was all built, and I was towing it with my Suburban, and I got to Larry's in the middle of the night, and I didn't want to bother Sherry in the middle of the night, even though she just come straight to the house. So I pulled up in front of Larry's shop and just laid down in the back of the Suburban and went to sleep. And I woke up in the morning to Larry's ugly mug knocking on the window, waking me up.
7 a.m. sharp every morning. Oh, yeah. He shows up. Yeah.
I like one of the things that makes me jealous about his location is the fact the Blue Beacon truck stop is like literally 50 yards away.
They got badass coffee. I know that. Like I'd go run and get coffee for them. All the guys there. The truck stop had good coffee. You go over there and get munchies, whatever.
Yeah,
but I'd go over there on foot.
Dude, we've been joined by royalty. Schroeder is in the house on Facebook Live right now.
Oh, really? Dave Schroeder?
Drag Week champion.
Oh, nitrous. Yeah, right. The Schroeder and Ends combo. So very cool. Yeah.
Very. I was so proud, Schroeder, of you guys this year. As you well know, Monty, one of my super good friends, and Monty Smith's performance, and he always said that a nitrous car could win Drag Week, and he worked really hard on that Corvette with you guys, and I know he was smiling down on you guys winning.
Oh, hell yeah.
That is just that was awesome. And
shot heard around the world for the nitrous guys too, man. I actually went up and introduced myself to them. I'm like, you don't know me because you don't need EFI help ever, but this is who I am, and I think your program kicks ass. It was super cool. Last day of drag week, and the guy Schroeder actually had like 10 minutes to sit there and talk to me. I don't know how I caught him. There was nobody else just around. He was just chilling out. I think he had a beer. They were done for the day. I think it was before awards. Everybody was just chilling out, and talked with him for a little bit, and it was super cool because it was neat to hear their story. That car has a significant history. So, dude, I've been asking them to get on the show, and the guy's like, when things calm down. He's not much of a self-talker. You kind of got to squeeze it out of him. But huge accomplishments, man. They walk soft and they carry a big stick with that car, and it was neat to see that. It's one of my it's really my favorite unlimited class car right now, with things going, obviously because they're doing well, but I was really pulling for them, because the big thing is you got to get through the event, and that's what you learn over time, and they've learned how to do that. Going fast, not super hard in that car. They got to figure it out, but the getting through the event without I'm just making it in a car like that. Pretty impressive, neat stuff. It's also a neat ride with a lot of history.
Yeah, I was standing up after the second day, watching that car run. Every time that thing pulled the line, I was standing up and jumping up and down, watching it go down the track. And
the farther it is, like by Wednesday and Thursday, you're just biting your nails. You're like, oh, please don't break. Please show up. Oh, here they are. They made it, and they're in staging. All right, cool. But it was fucking awesome. That car is just love that vet. Just like everything about it. I met Monty Smith the one time I got to talk to him for a good hour. He was coming over to check out Fuel Tech and Larry Larson's truck in Topeka. And that was the first and only time I'd ever got to meet the legendary Monty Smith. And I can see why the Holly guys worked with him on the nitrous stuff so close. Because the dude, big EFI dry nitrous guy, which is cool because that flies in the face of all the other nitrous guys out there. Everybody else likes EFI or whatever. And he's like, no, man, he had a lot of good logical reasons for why dry nitrous was the way to go on an EFI combo, mostly safety and longevity for the motor. If something goes wrong with a relay or a solenoid, the nitrous shuts off and it runs rich for a second and you get out of it. If you pull a Carl Scott drag week the first year and something goes wrong with the fuel side and it shuts off, but the nitrous is still spraying, shit, that's expensive. So anyway, it was neat to meet Monty. I know you guys were a lot closer than I was, but I enjoyed my hour hanging out with Monty at Topeka.
And that's a really good segue too then, because I have a really, really strong relationship with a bunch of really good aftermarket companies. I mean, everybody knows that I've been a ride tech guy for a long time. We have air ride on every station wagon we own, and we love all the ride tech suspension.
Rev Vocal for the win. Sometimes those guys listen. There's yeah.
And you know how much I love, my Aeromotive fuel systems and all those things. And but you bring Monty up and NOS nitrous, and I am a horsepower guy. So I like all power adders. And quite frankly, I think you're doing it wrong if you only use one. I think that you should always use at least two power adders together. There's just no reason not to. But, Holly and NOS have been big supporters of ours. I use Holly EFI and I love their systems. And, they're the ones I've used the most. Of all the standalones that I own, they're all either Holly EFI or an EMS Pro, which I still have on Rusty, as you know, Scott.
God.
I know, dude.
14 years old EFI, but it's still alive.
It is. And so, I love all their stuff, and we've built really good relationships with them over the years. Being a spokesperson for them and doing different video, stuff with them, and all these different things, which build these relationships. So my point is, the more that you work with one of these companies, even if it's starting out little, then that's
start a relationship small. Hey man, you give me an air filter, I'll run your sticker and I'll try to make you look good and go win something this year.
Exactly.
Yeah. Move forward in those little levels. Yeah.
When I told I called the guys at Holly and I said, hey, on Daphne's car we're gonna put we have your Terminator EFI, and we're gonna put I want to put a single plate under it, but I want to run nitrous to both sides of the plate. So it's 2 stages just to show that you can do it and have it be 2 dry shots, of nitrous. And all the dudes at Holly that I, normally work with on a day-to-day basis are
Ricky Best is listening tonight. Woo! What's up, Ricky?
Oh, I know. Yeah. They're all like, what in the hell are you talking about? You can't do that, blah, blah, blah. We're going to have Monty call you. So Monty calls me and goes, okay, everybody's freaking out because you want to run out of a single plate or whatever.
Underneath the TBI, too. That was the big joke. They're like, oh, God, those things just don't work that great.
Yeah. But Monty, of course, was like, oh, dude, it'll be fine. It's perfect. So that's exactly what we did. And now the car actually has 3 kits on it. It has a dual stage plate that has nitrous to both sides of one stage. And then the other stage, the third stage is wet because I don't have enough injector in the throttle body. So, yeah.
Lovely.
3 kits in a street driven small block. In a station wagon.
And your sponsors at Blueprint are like, yeah, okay.
Hey,
that maybe.
Our 400-inch Blueprint small block does not care. It loves it.
2 Rocky Mountain Race Weeks so far with that thing, right?
Yep, and we are doing our 3rd this year with it, and then we are going to retire it. It will not get raced anymore. The wagon from then on will just be cruiser duty. We're going to take the electronically controlled 4L80 out of it and put the 700 back in it because it's just nicer as a street driven trans.
Yep.
And it's smaller. And we'll take the nitrous off and just drive the 400. But that thing has a power adder 400 in it, which makes the same power as the rest of their 400 cubic inch, 508 horsepower combos or whatever. But it has a steel crank, good rods, good pistons in it, all forged everything. And I'm telling you, it loves the nitrous. And it's the 9.5 to 1 or 9.8 to 1 compression model. Like, it does not care at all.
Right. No, it's happy. I confirmed it. It's not, but you're lucky because it's one of them that's working good with the TBI. So that's good.
Oh, yeah. But, it's... Again, those guys, well, I told you earlier, Scott, when I was talking on the phone with you, that it was funny we were going to talk about sponsorship because today for our dually project, we have a square body dually that is about ready to go under the knife. I just got a bunch of parts in today for it. So I got a Flowmaster exhaust system to build for it. And we're actually converting it. I know this is going to sound like a sin on RealTuners, but we're converting it from throttle body injection to carburetor.
No, we're done with that. That's okay.
Yeah,
I know.
That sounds like a step in the right direction.
It probably is. Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing a wind intake for the peanut port heads and a carburetor and a MSD distributor and a set of headers, and that ought to make the big block a lot happier than it is with that factory TBI. That factory TBI, like the injectors or the injector on one side is clogged up. You can tell it just doesn't spray as nice, and they're never good off idle. They always kind of suck off idle. So, it's just not a great combo, and nobody else in the country leave the fuel injection on it except us Californians. So I just smogged it like 2 months ago. So I have 2 years before I have to smog it again. So it's all going away.
That's funny. So I know a guy just on our Mixler chat just asked, what do you guys think about small time sponsors, local businesses, maybe not cash and hard parts, but small things that help you get through a weekend? Me personally, before Chad goes off on that one, I actually like that idea. I would even entertain that stuff. We've had companies approach us about sponsoring RealTuners, but they want certain things. And it's like, I feel like I won't be able to, if I run into a problem with their product or whatever, it just doesn't seem like it's a good thing to do. But I, had some guy that's like, I run a wine distillery or whatever, an alcohol thing, a distributorship, and maybe we'll sponsor you, or maybe you're interested in that. Well, okay, I'd be interested in that. It's something a little bit different, and it keeps me from having to, it's like, be careful or whatever. But I like the little local business thing. If you can,
I vote for that one.
Yeah.
You go to your local circle track, any dirt track. It's Anthony's Pizzeria sponsoring the
I
late
think
model
that's
stock
cool as
bar.
hell, man.
That's awesome.
Patronize those little guys. Yes.
Anything to help to grow your community and race and take some of the hit out of your wallet that's a win-win.
Dollar General's helping you out with water for the season for the whole crew. Then hell, give them some space, man. I think so. That's awesome.
I agree wholeheartedly, guys. I mean, you have to look at it. It's why I said earlier, like when you're thinking about an engine, think about all the parts that are in the engine, right? You need the bolts. So you might as well call ARP and have them just send you bolts. I mean, all the little things add up. Well, same deal. Like you said, you need money to get to the racetrack. You need food, you need drinks, you need all that stuff. And if Bob's Pizza wants to feed you guys after the race every weekend for a decal on the quarter panel, hell yeah.
Put it on there.
Yeah. And, or if Bob says, hey, what's it cost for your oil for the year? Right. And you go, oh, it's, $500. Well, cool. Can I give you $500 and put my name on, the back of your car and you can use that money to pay for.
If you're anywhere near the point they should sponsor you, then you should have already a list of events and already know how much you're going to have to spend to hit those events for your consumables, what you're going to need for tires and fluids and things like that. So hopefully you have your stuff together. I always lecture people in my classes about project management. Before you even start taking on sponsors, you want to be that organized. You want to say, hey man, I'm going to need these consumables for the year and I'm going to try and hit these events and hit as many of them as I possibly can.
Right.
I think for a lot of guys listening, the streetcar stuff is kind of tricky because, you don't want to slather the thing with contingency or sponsor stickers and cover it up and make it look like a race car. Like Larry's truck, that thing's not covered head to toe, but I'm sure you guys have a million sponsors that may not be displayed on there. But the bottom line is you guys with that truck have obviously before the project, during and after have demonstrated value to those companies, knowing that the public eye is going to be all over that thing, magazines head to toe. But what it boils down to, I would think, is you just have to be able to demonstrate value to the company that you are approaching and asking for a handout, basically.
100%. No, that's
this, I will have this in return. You have to demonstrate value, period.
Well, and that's one of the biggest challenges with Larry. And it drove me nuts. It was a giant pain in my ass. Is the fact that he wouldn't do decals on the truck. It's like, okay, hold on. So these people are going to give us stuff in exchange for us telling everybody about their product, and in exchange for a sticker. Yeah, but you can't put a sticker. No, but they need a sticker. No, you can't put a sticker. No, Larry, you don't understand. We need to put a sticker on the fucking truck. No, you can't put a sticker on the truck. So now all of a sudden,
I remember these arguments.
I have to explain to these guys how putting a sticker on the truck would somehow be bad, so that I can convince them they still should give us something, even though they're not going to have a sticker on it. So yes, totally get that one.
Yeah,
that is absolutely it. You really need to show the value add. You really need to show that they're going to get the return. And
let's hold up a second. Let's be honest. Do you think most of those guys? Do you think Jezel and all those guys were more concerned about having a sticker on a truck or about having parts on something that was poised to break a huge record, and that be the first drag week proven vehicle to go in the 5s, a street legal vehicle? And I don't mean cruised around the parkway for 5 minutes. I mean that does whether you don't have to necessarily subscribe to drag week as the minimum requirement to be a street car, but you sure as shit can't say it's not a street car if it's completed a drag week or a Rocky Mountain Race Week. I think we can all agree on that. Right?
Agree.
I don't care what it looks like. I don't give a shit what it looks like. Dude, if it can drive 1,500 miles with 2 guys and carry its own weight and not need a service crew, and I'll be brutally honest with you, Larry's truck was getting more scrutiny than anyone's.
Oh yeah.
And people were giving us shit because there were other competitors that were helping him out, but you know what? There were only a couple of other competitors helping him out. There were other, it's pretty typical and unlimited. There's even more help. He wasn't getting a ton of help. He wasn't getting no breaks from the hot rod staff.
No.
Yeah, and it's and he got it done. So I don't know. I think those sponsors were more interested in having parts on something that knew, like, it could be Larry's 5th win. It could be the first time a drag week car goes 5s. And I even remember Larry's stated goals. He's like, it'd be neat to win the event. But our goal is to just finish drag week so we can cover that part. Nobody argue it's streetable. And then, whatever we do, we'll get things figured out and dialed in and fix the bugs. And then we'll try and go fast with it at a track that is prepared for us to go fast, and that ended up being Streetcar Supernats in Las Vegas.
And you're 100% right. But one thing about that is that normal people, okay, 99.99% of the people to get sponsored, no matter at what level, are never going to be in the position to set some major record or do something that is this world known, thing. Even the top guys at NASCAR, only one 42 idiots is going to win the championship for the year or whatever. You know what I mean? So most people, I guarantee you, if you ask 90 people that supported us on the project, they will tell you that they didn't believe we could do it. That it would, I
heard that from a few times. The Proline guys I know, Dillard and those guys were like, oh man, so they're going to drive this thing. I remember them asking me, what exactly is Drag Week about? And I'm like, oh, right. And then I told them and they're like, what the hell is this guy thinking? I'm like, yeah, it's the weirdest sounding thing ever. I said, the car, fortunately for its gear, its tire, and its weight, it can go a half second slower than what those guys are used to for customers. So we can abuse the engine less, but it's still, we got to drive at 1,500 miles. And they're like, well, shit. Yeah. I remember them just spending hours going back and forth with Brad, and Brad was arguing with them about too much valve spring pressure. And sure enough, it was eating lifters, midweek it ate a couple lifters or whatever.
Lifters and rockers, man.
Yeah.
Lifters and rockers.
They ended up getting that sorted out.
I'd way rather replace a rocker on that thing than a lifter, but you can snake them out of the Brodix heads without pulling the intake. Woo!
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, so for the average guy at home, they're never be able to go, hey, we're going to go out there and we're going to do this that nobody's ever done before. So most people need to make sure that they're still going to give them the exposure, but don't think that a sticker is the only exposure, because that's not going to do it either,
No, if you can, you let them know, hey man, I'm gunning for a class record at this event. I'm gunning to win my class at the Ducks race, or an NMCA X275, whatever class an NMCA races, or I want to win LS Fest. That gets people interested from a sponsor's perspective. It gets us interested.
Oh yeah, but you guys are talking two different things between local and national, right?
Right.
Yep, totally. That absolutely, Bill. It really, if you are the local guy, you need to. Well, actually, it doesn't matter whether you're a local guy or the national level guy. What you need to do is that you need to make sure that you are tailoring your deliverables, what you're going to do for the sponsor, to whomever that is. If it's Bob's House of Pizza on the corner, then Bob's House of Pizza needs to, know that an extra few hundred people see his name every week, then that's a pretty easy thing for you to do. If it's Comp Cam's, a few hundred people seeing Comp Cam's name is not going to do them any good. So what they want is social media. They want video. They want you talking about the products, showing the results of the products, doing some tech about the product or what have you, that's going to reach thousands of people or tens of thousands of people. Those are the things that they want to see at that level. So it really depends on the company more than it even matters what level you're racing at.
Yeah. You don't even necessarily have to be successful in racing. Some guys are asking questions on our Mixler chat for you, Chad. What do you think is the most important to show in any kind of proposal for a normal guy? Facebook views, followers, YouTube plays, or the results of success from prior sponsors is one of the questions. And, I think the day and age that we live in, social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube is massive. And being one of the co-founders of Bang Shift can obviously speak very accurately on this as well, that social media is massive. You are your own marketing expert, so to say. Like, the device that you're probably listening to us talk to you on sitting in your hand is probably the most powerful tool you can to get yourself out, that you having to get yourself out there and expose yourself in try to generate attention and demonstrate that value. Whether it's, you don't necessarily have to even have ran a race, but if you got so many followers on Instagram or Facebook, and you can demonstrate that you can influence these people to do what you say and listen to your opinion, and they take it as valuable, then you might demonstrate some value to a company that you're trying to get a product from.
100%.
Companies will offer not necessarily a full payment on something. They'll offer the ability to give you a generous discount on parts, which is still a sponsorship. It might not be, hey, here's a free part, but it might be the difference between I can buy the right part or I can buy the half-assed part.
And you know what? I will tell you that is honestly probably the best sponsorship you can get. It's going to sound funny to say, but let's say you want $1,000 worth of parts from Comp Cams, okay? And Comp says, you know what? We can't really do the full sponsorship deal, but we'll give you the WD price on this, which means you're only going to pay $500 or $450 or whatever the number is. But you don't owe them anything at that point, right? All you have to do is put a couple photos up, do some social media stuff. You really don't have to do nearly as much because they still have made their money just like they would selling it to any dealer at that point. So they're not going to expect the world from you. Now, the advantage to that is if you totally over deliver and are a complete rock star, they're going to know that. And the next time they will give you the thing at full, free. You know what I mean? So it's those kinds of things that really can make the difference. And one other thing, you talk about all the social media. You also have to remember, and it sounds funny, I never, there are very few people, Scott Clark being one of them, who I talk about religion or politics or whatever with. If you are the guy that puts up some, Donald Trump is the greatest guy ever, and if you think he'll be shot, then fucking share and whatever this week. On your Facebook every 2 days, you ain't getting shit. Okay.
Can't be political.
If you're the guy that nonstop, goes, oh, this horrible, thing is happening in the world and we should all put our guns up in the air and, go kill everybody. If you think that, oh, your extreme, opinions really matter to the rest of the world, A, they don't. None of us give a shit. And B, they really don't to a company who's going to associate themselves with your name, right? So when you've been doing this long enough to where everybody just knows you're an asshole or whatever, and so they just shrug it off, and laugh about it, it's fine. But if you're the guy that's trying to become something, my suggestion is to have a private Facebook page where you spout off all the crap nobody wants to listen to. And then you have your racing team Facebook page where you're a good, normal human being instead of, waving your Democrat flag or your Republican flag or whatever. You know what I mean? So especially nowadays when we have entered this time where the president believes that Twitter is his own personal, pulpit. Dude, don't take the bait on that because that's not the smart way to do it. If your name is not Donald Trump, then you will not get away with that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you now.
You have more of a chance to hurt yourself than you do to help yourself.
Right.
By a lot.
I'd agree with that 100%, except skip the private Facebook page. And if you must, send private handwritten notes to 3 people who you can trust to burn them afterwards.
Yeah. Well, there you go, Bill. I'm with
or just don't ever ask for sponsorship.
Yeah, exactly.
No, so here, I'm curious. You've got Bill, you've got Tom Sewell here, you got John Bewley. What do you guys look for? I mean, people come to you guys with, I know they come to you guys with sometimes just very entertaining sponsorships. A lot of times I look at those and I think, oh, this guy just doesn't know how to hit these guys up. I actually feel sorry for him. What do you guys look for? Like Tom, you've sponsored, I've worked on a ton of cars. You've sponsored Bewley. I've worked on a ton of cars. You've sponsored. What do you guys look for? And what are the things that give you mileage that make you think, hey, next year I'm going to find more guys like that?
Hey, Tom, I can answer that, Scott. Tom just needs a regular barrage of insults personally, and he'll give you free injectors all day long. No, actually, we really
Pay for all the hookers.
I heard that was true. I heard it. I saw.
If you can get the global ejector guy to claim you have histrionic personality disorder, then Tom's got a set of injectors for you.
Really, we don't give a lot of injectors out. I might give
very few.
Yeah, and that's very rare. The only way that happens is if it's an extreme recommendation from somebody we extremely, we trust. You know what I mean? If Scott or Chris or somebody says, "Hey, you need to help this guy out," we usually help him out, but we don't give him away for free. You know what I mean? When we give you something at a discount, what we're saying is,
here's
free. Your chance. Yeah, exactly. Here's your chance, and then if you do really good, and then we'll talk next year.
And it's always been a case where those guys were like, "Man, it's a make or break thing, man. A nice set of injectors are really going to help on this car," And it's talk to Tom. Now it's funny because it's right. You guys are on a billion of the cars I work on. Most of them paid for though, because you guys are the guys I just refer people to when I'm like, "All right, if you can't get a sponsor for these parts, then these are the guys you want to work with because their customer service is going to kick ass." So there's huge value there. I try to tell people that, but it's interesting. Okay, so you're pretty serious about who you sell. You're very selective then. Bewley, same thing.
Oh yeah, I'm kind of selective. I've steered away from. I've steered my sponsorship and my help more toward individual people versus sponsoring races or sponsoring classes. I think my advertising dollar goes further with people.
Yep.
Than it does with an organization per se.
At our size, definitely. Yeah.
And it's something. I hate to even use the word exposure because I try not to bank on getting a return that way. I like people who help. I like people who take, into consideration, what it is I'm trying to do with my company, the demographic I'm in, the modes that I work with. I try and spread it around. I do some drag racers, and it's easy for me to help a bunch of guys with a little bit than it is one or two guys with a lot. So I like doing cams for people. I would rather try and help 10 people with camshafts than I had do one person with a set of cylinder heads or something. It's easy to do that because the cost is low for the individual part.
It sure is awesome for an individual that won a class at a race. To me, I enjoy that more than sponsoring the class. I like to see somebody I helped do something. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's that, and that works out pretty easy because, let's see, and going after something nobody's done yet is also very helpful because that's a notch in that company's belt to say that they helped somebody do the first one, just like Larry.
Yep.
I've got a customer right now that I've helped a lot and have tried to help a lot with parts and with technical advice. We're trying to be the first single turbo small block to go in the 3-second zone in Radial versus the World. So, that's going to be
a real goal.
That's something to shoot after. But, it's like I've got a lot of guys I help, man. I try and help a lot of guys, and it's a lot easier to give them discounts for parts. Dan Wrench, Joey Heichel.
You know what? I think those guys appreciate it a lot more as well, too. You know what I mean?
The ones that are struggling for something, yeah. It makes me feel a little more comfortable when I know they have a goal. And I still evaluate the reality of them hitting that goal. But, it depends who else they're working with on that project,
Well, one of the things, too, like you guys know how I am at the races, but, it's not just about if you're the guy that's going to set the record. It's not just about if you're the guy that's going to win all the time. Some of it is also about what kind of a spokesperson you can be for the product. So, we might go out, and run, at Redemption in Daphne's wagon and have virtually no shot when it's, 30 degrees outside and we've never had DAs that, good to race the car in and we're totally lost. But we certainly are going to go out there and talk smack and have fun and all that. And we're going to be the only people there with 3 kits on a daily driver station wagon.
Yep, it's unique. You know, you don't got to be the fastest. If you can be the uniquest, that helps too. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because people then come up to us and go, okay, somebody said that this thing has 3 kits on it. And I'm like, yeah, it has 3 kits on it. And they start looking at it and they go, wait a second, what is this? And whose EFI is that? And you start talking to them about, you know, the whole project and what you're running and what parts it has. And that alone, like, sells stuff. I can't tell you the number of Holley EFIs that I've sold standing around talking, you know, to somebody next to the car, you know, and not even racing it or whatever, it just sitting there, you know. And that kind of stuff, you know, is what makes it important for the, you know, Holley guys. And like the race pack guys, there's a picture of me doing a race pack, you know, video. And I know everybody isn't going to, you know, be the spokesperson for a company and be up there, you know, doing videos for them and what have you. But, you know, everybody now is shooting video. Okay. Whether it's, you know, live at their kid's birthday party or whatever. Turn your phone sideways.
That's huge.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
The live.
Please turn your phone sideways.
Please turn your phone sideways.
Yeah.
Thank you, Scott. Yes.
It's like your TV, not like your phone. It's like a TV.
Turn it sideways. We love you though. Vinny Barbone did a good one last night. Rye does good ones, man. That's how we found Rye, actually. My girlfriend, fiance, whatever. She's like, oh man, you need to sound more like that guy. He's got his shit together. You need to do those videos. I'm like, I was like, what
Scott, that would be an important distinction which you might want to get handled before this goes on air.
Yeah, good point.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna get in trouble.
No, but it's true. Like, you know, I told my kids, if you really think video should be shot with your phone standing straight up, then I'll put the TV on its end too in the house, and you can watch TV that way. That stupid bullshit, you know. And they got over it in a hurry when they figured out how shitty TV was going to be watching it on its end, you know.
Yeah.
But turn your phone on its side, and if you have some problem with a, you know, or you've figured some cool trick out on your race pack or your, you know, carburetor, or
post
your whatever.
That. Yes,
post it up. Go,
little
you know
tech
what?
stuff that you figured out.
This was this way, and I just figured it out, and this is a cool trick.
Yeah.
And do that, and that stuff
we like
is
that.
Huge.
Barry Cook is on here on the Facebook post, and I got to give love to that guy because I worked with him. He donated his truck to one of our classes to test on. That's no small feat, man. But we got a ton of mileage out of working with that guy. He didn't have the best of years. He had some weird parts failure, but still, that guy did an amazing job at helping me get people to come to my classes. And he's somebody who totally understands it. And he says here, it's all about promoting the crap out of the people that help you out. You know, and he is spot on the money, and the dude is just a likable guy. He does an amazing
job of it.
Shit, yes, and he's a likable guy. I love the dude. He's just super cool. And if you get to meet him in person,
don't inflate his head.
Nah, he's fucked up on Facebook like all of us. No, he's good, but he's in person, great guy. I mean, and great representative. I want that guy at LS Fest telling people they tune that stuff at my class. You know,
and the truck looks good.
It does. He does a great job.
The truck's a great truck,
and he's a
great looking truck, and he's a good guy.
He's a budget little guy too. He's not I don't feel like I'm getting in line with a shitload of other big sponsors or whatever. I mean, the guy gives you personalized treatment and service, and just you know, those are the kind of guys we look for, man. And you know, it's funny. I mean, he's always posting stuff on Facebook about what he's doing. But again, here's somebody who's like, oh, check it out. We got the thing to start up nice this time. You know, here's a 2-minute video. Check this thing out. Reach through the window, fire it up. That's kind of one of my trademark things. I try to teach everybody how to make their shit. If it's EFI, it needs to run like it's EFI. But no, I just, as a sponsor for that guy, I get a ton of mileage out of that guy. And I can tell you I'll sponsor whatever he's doing for life just because he's good to work with.
I'm in the exact same boat. If you guys are out there and you want help, do exactly what Barry Cook's doing. Go to his Facebook page and check out what Barry does.
Yep.
He is the absolute perfect example of what I want.
We're gonna have to get him on the podcast then, aren't we? When things heat up this season.
That would be killer.
Yep.
I just since we're talking about Barry, I just want to tell him, hey Barry, I got a surprise for you. You don't get to find out about it until, I don't know, whenever I decide for you to find out about it. But there's something special for you coming from Mike.
That's what sucks when your cam guy works directly with your engine builder. I'm not sure what the hell they put in there.
We got him figured out. He's got a surprise coming for next year. He's going to be stoked about it, and he's going to have that shit-eating grin on his face like he's always got. But there's something special for next year coming. He doesn't even know about it yet. So
he promised me he's going to run a 740 in the quarter. Just kidding.
Yeah, we might see what we can do about tickling some 90s. Let's start it. We got to remember it is still a stock. It is still a stock block.
That's awesome.
I have a special place in my heart for Barry because the S10, his Blazer is like, I'm in love with that thing. So, because I have one, obviously.
Yep.
That is underway at this point. It has to get finished. It got put on hold for a while, but I love that thing. I like square body S10s, and my Blazer is also, in many ways very similar to his, but just emissions legal and less horsepower. But it will be fun, and it'll carry the wheels, and it'll do all those fun things. But but fun is the name of the game. You got to remember that you're doing this for your living, which 90% of the people out there are not. Then you need to have a good time with it. I mean, you need to have fun. You need to enjoy it because it's a hobby. You need to be really good at getting told no, because the chances are you're going to get told no
a lot more often than you're going to get told yes. Yep.
Oh yeah.
And just because you get told no doesn't mean they might not tell you yes later. Yeah. Go do something and then ask again. Go do something. Now. Exactly. It's no for now.
And come to them come to us with, hey man, if I had your help on this, this, and this, I could do better. You know what I mean? Right. That was Barry's thing. He was like, man, if I could tune my own shit, I could do better. I'm like, all right, dude, come to my class. Let us use your truck. You can sit in the class for free. We'll teach you to tune stuff. And he's getting it. It's pretty hilarious. He's making me logs.
We need to do a class on plumbing wastegates for him.
It happens. It happens. It stopped reading at 50 psi. That's the good news. It stopped. The data log stopped there because it was blasted right past where the map sensor would read. But it happens.
Well, one thing though too is that when you say go ask again if somebody tells you no, if somebody tells you no, ask them why. I mean, if you have the opportunity, ask them. What is it that makes me not the guy you want to support?
What do you want to see?
Yeah. What do you need to see next time? If they go, oh, well, you know what? We really want somebody that's doing this, that, or the other thing. And even if if you are that guy, but you didn't put that in your, proposal or what have you, then you just say thank you and you go, okay, I'm going to make sure that's
lesson learned.
The next one. Yeah, lesson learned. Exactly.
Steve Plattner says if you're good to work with, the folks will come, and he's right, man. If you're good to work with, and that's being good to work with, saying, hey, give me a little feedback on what's missing in my program here, that keeps me from being someone to work with, and it's not.
Well,
go ahead.
I was going to say the other thing is just because they tell you no doesn't mean you still can't go promote them. I've had some guys ask for my help, and I was like, blah, blah, blah. You know what? They spent 6 months out there promoting me, and then they asked me again, and they did something, and I said, wow, these guys were doing it for free. What are they going to do if I do help them out?
Give them a discount.
So don't be afraid to do that either. Yeah, exactly. Show us what you got.
And if you have to explain it, explain it. I've got guys that hit me up. I'm getting a lot more traction in the drift world. Jonathan Hurst. I helped Jonathan out with cams in his car. He swapped back and forth, and I've taken a cam back and replaced the camshaft to try and worked with him on trying to develop camshafts that work for him for what he's doing. Sometimes it's not even if you're in motorsports, you're not necessarily in drag racing. Sometimes it's our ignorance to what it is that you do and how you would bring value to the relationship that just needs a better explanation. I got a proposal from another drift guy. I got an 8-page PDF printable proposal. I got pictures of the car. I got
some of those guys got it going on. The drift guys know how to hit their sponsors.
They know how to do it. And the guy's proposal is going to because working with Jonathan has gotten me into understanding the drift world a little bit. But now this guy's proposal has put him over the edge because what he needs, I can provide. It's good value for me. I feel I'm getting a good return because I understand it better now. And his proposal, I've gotten a list of the events he's going to attend. He's given me attendances for those events last year. So I actually have an idea of how many people are going to see the promotional aspect of what he's going to do for me.
That would
you guys have to think as a you have to think of a proposal as an interview, because that's exactly what you're doing. If you would walk into an interview
to a partnership,
with your shirt out, untucked, and your fly down, that's exactly how I want to see it when you do your proposal. Come in.
He wants to see your fly down.
You got the job.
And he does. And see, here's the great thing about it is the guy doesn't even present it as sponsorship. He called it literally the subject of the email is a proposal for partnership.
There you go.
You know, this guy understands exactly what it is, and I've honestly never heard of the guy before, and he's in Canada. His name's Ryan Drutz, and based solely on his proposal, he got my attention enough where, you know, I plan on answering him and working with him on something just based on, you know, the value that he's outlined is going to be brought to me, you know, by entering into this partnership.
Give it a whirl. You might be surprised. Some of those drift guys get some really good returns. I've worked with a few of them.
Well,
and they're
here's
fun
one
cars.
other thing. You mentioned, you know, that it doesn't have to be the drag racing world, and we're talking about drifting. So, you know, I'm in a lot of different kinds of motorsports, right? I'm in the drag race world is obviously where my heart is, you know, first and foremost, but I'm a pro touring guy too. And that world especially is like really frustrating to me in a lot of ways because the vast majority of the people that are competing in the pro touring world are completely screwed up in that they think that building the biggest cubic inch LS motor and spinning it to 11 million RPM is the way to go all the time. And they just don't seem to understand that power adders were invented decades ago. This stuff. So they just drive me insane at every event. And so there are literally a handful of people who are running turbocharged combinations in, you know, LS combos and pro touring stuff, which seems so odd because every swinging dick has a turbo LS, right? So in the drag race world, it's like, how are you all like this far behind? And then they wonder why the guys with a twin turbo LS walk them like they're tied to a tree on a road course, right? But they still are, these guys are predominantly still believe that there's a thing called turbo lag, which hasn't existed since 1989. You know, they just are not educated on the subject. So the problem is that some of the companies, right, like the turbocharger companies, the companies that are traditionally serving the drag racing community but are always looking for more customer base, they want a way into the pro touring world, okay? Because the pro touring world is owned by wheels, brakes, suspension, etc. But the engine world, the power adder world has not gotten a firm grip there. So
everybody wants a crate motor over there.
Right. So the reason I bring that up, you know, maybe you look to a company that provides a product, but is not providing that product in your market, because maybe you're the guy that can bring their product to your market so that there is, you know, and maybe there already is, you know, turbo companies that are dealing with your particular thing, like drifting or whatever. But maybe, you know, maybe Turbonetics is in drifting, but Precision isn't. And so Precision wants in there. I mean, I know, bad example, they're now the same company, but you know what I mean? So that kind of thing, you have to look at it that way too. Like maybe you approach a company that you wouldn't otherwise approach because they're not in your market for the need for them to actually be in your market. You know, that can help everybody.
Yeah, if you've uttered the phrase, wouldn't it be cool if so-and-so did this? then
Yeah.
throw together a proposal, hit them up.
Well, that's like Jonathan Hurst. Jonathan, he was naturally aspirated up till this year, and then he went turbocharged. So he got my attention because he wanted to build a turbocharged drift car. And I've worked with a couple of guys. I got one guy over in Sweden who's got an Evo that's got a 6-liter LS that's turbocharged, and it's so funny to watch. So funny to watch that guy because he drifts with a bunch of 4-cylinder cars, and it's like wisp of smoke, wisp of smoke, wisp of smoke off the back of the car, and then it looks like, and then here comes this cloud maker. And he's the last car in line because they don't want him up front because nobody can see if they're behind him. So it's hilarious to watch. But yeah, I mean that's if you're paving a new road or something, that's always going to bring extra value to that whole idea and that whole partnership.
And if you guys are, one thing to remember, with being told no and this is no for now. If you go in and you approach a company, small business especially, I've seen this and heard of people grumbling to this. You go into and ask a small business for a sponsorship locally. Don't come back with and say, well, so-and-so down the road is going to do this for me. You're asking for a handout. Like, you're not going to be pitting people against each other per se, unless you have some walk on water accolades to back up what you're trying to do. Then you need to go in there a little bit humble and approach them accordingly.
I think it's a whole lot of humble.
Don't be afraid to go ask the local businesses that aren't racing related for help too, because you got to eat, you got to have gas for your vehicle. So don't be afraid to go to the local restaurant that you go to every other day and say, hey, we have a racing team. We're looking for some sponsorship to help us out a little bit. We have to pay the bills, and we just want to know if we could maybe.
I always tell people to have a budget ready. It's nice to have a spreadsheet and show those guys what it costs you to do what you're going to do, and this is why I need the help. That helps me understand what's going on. It also tells me you got your shit together.
Maybe the local mom and pop restaurant makes you like a lunch that you can pack with you to the track every time you go. Maybe they help you out that way or something.
And maybe they give you a gift certificate or gift card that you can give away every Friday night at the races.
Absolutely.
Right? You do a drawing or what have you, and help them build that up. I mean, the local auto parts store. I'm an O'Reilly's guy, right? We have a Bang Shift account, with O'Reilly's, and we pay for everything. It's just that it's under the Bang Shift name, and those guys, though, on occasion, reached out and said, hey, can you help us with this, that, or the other thing? And my local O'Reilly's is like, hey, here's fender covers and, a pit mat or a drain pan or whatever that says O'Reilly's on it. And they're like, hey, you got it hanging on the car and it has your, our name on it. We're totally down. Thank you. Help us out. Whatever,
Sometimes here's 40 cans of brake cleaner for half price.
Oh, I would love that sponsorship.
That's a sponsorship for anybody right there. That's
amazing.
It's happened.
You guys are going to laugh, but Gary Densham is a good friend of mine. Obviously, big show, funny car driver. Densham's like awesome guy. I am incredibly fortunate to call him a friend of mine, and I have seen him salvage parts that you wouldn't believe because he runs on a budget. But I have never seen anybody more excited about a sponsorship ever than when he got a Brake Clean sponsorship. They got a Brake Clean sponsorship 3 years ago, and when you open the doors on their big rig, the racks on the inside of the doors are just full of Brake Clean. And I started laughing when I saw it, and I said, what the hell, Dench? I said, did you guys get a Brake Clean sponsorship? And he looked at me as serious as he could look at me and was like, it's the greatest thing we've ever been sponsored for. He was so excited.
I know it's serious, guys, because I got yelled at. I got yelled at on one race team for using a can of brake clean to clean off a dirty wrench. And that stuff's like gold. Like, man, don't use that. Oh,
and think about it, on a fuel car, dude, those guys are double fisting cans of brake clean to hose everything off every round. Like, they go through a ton of brake clean. It was so funny because I start laughing at him, and then he starts laughing because he realizes like how excited he was. And his wife Joanne is just sitting there, smoking a cigarette and shaking her head. And I mean, I was dying of laughing. And this is at Pomona, like, Winter Nationals, all the great stuff. Like, this is really, real stuff is happening, and we're all excited about brake clean, so hey.
You need to do a video like washing the dishes with brake clean.
Oh my God, dude. Totally. Yes, absolutely.
That's a good idea, right? They need to hook up with you. That's a great idea.
Film that. Hit me up. Let me know. So, Chad, we heard grumblings on the live feed for Drag Week this year that that Larson is making a comeback.
Maybe.
Can you speak on that, or is that all hush hush?
It's still a maybe. So, anybody that knows Larry, like, Larry's like really quiet, okay, when you don't know him. But when you get to know Larry, you will know that he's a smart ass, like, and he likes to stir the pot. And so, my guess is that he will, but at this point, it's still he's thinking about it.
There's kind of some unfinished business there, but it's got to be the right tracks. But I think they're going to have the right tracks this year, maybe.
That's exactly. Now, also, Rocky Mountain Race Week this year is going to be at some different tracks, and it's going to be in the middle of the country, which means that event should be a lot bigger this year.
You guys need to check out Rocky Mountain Race Week. If you're thinking about Drag Week and you don't want to go all the way out to the East Coast this year, Rocky Mountain Race Week is so much fun. Matt Frost and June put that on. God, I've still had the most fun on those type of events at Rocky Mountain Race Week, even in the heat, because it's kind of a different theme. It's more grassroots. It's less magazine TV, and it's more racers having like a really good time. And they do some really neat shit. They do some things where like you race one place in the morning, but then the next day's racing is in the evening. So you have like 2 whole days to get where you're going. Then you have 1 whole day off where everybody just chills out in the hotel parking lots, services things, has a good time, takes it easy, and then meet up the next day for racing. They do 5 tracks in 7 days instead of 5 days.
Right.
Yeah, and
then they pay you big stacks of cash.
It's a paying event. So it's a neat event. You should definitely check out Matt's event, Rocky Mountain Race Week.
It's not just the jacket and bragging rights.
No.
And Dominic D'Amato, you're saying you want you have to just consider it. You're with us, dude.
Yeah, Dom, you got to go to that, dude. You got to go to Rocky Mountain Race Week. Totally different thing. Super cool. It's actually. Hurry up now. It might be getting too big. I don't know. There was a lot of cars last year. It was just right. I don't know if it's going to blow up this year or what, but and if it does, it's cool. I mean, they're geared for it, but it's just
but we're still limiting the number of entries, so it won't ever get too crazy. Right. We won't do the 400 cars like Drag Week, where then you get 1 run a day. Like that's crap. So.
Yeah,
because we want Bob Lipschitz and Dominic D'Amato and everybody else to get like a bunch of runs,
Yeah.
So, I have to say that the thing about doing these road trips across the country and racing, the whole time, is it just is a different level of camaraderie than you get just going to a regular race weekend. I mean. Fowler, you've been doing them forever with us, and it's just a different level of fun. Like there's something about hanging out in the pits at a local event and racing together and helping each other out that's really cool. But when you're like 4 days in and you're like climbing under your buddy's junk for the 5th time in 3 days on the side of the freeway, and you're looking at him like, the next time you use a $5 part, I'm going to kill you. I mean, there's just something about it that it like puts all your human nature to the test, in all the best ways.
That's a really interesting way of saying it's something you spend a week asking yourself, why the hell am I doing this?
That's true. But you'll also, the big deal is you also, like the day afterwards, you're going, man, it kind of sucks that we're not going to another race. I mean, you know, but we are sick. Like we drive Daphne's car all the way there from Southern California, race it, and then drove home the long way through Yellowstone and did vacation on the way home. So
Right on.
I guess we're kind of crazy, you know, so which we are doing that this year. This year we will be doing Yellowstone on the way home from Rocky Mountain Race Week is probably happening this year because we have some special stuff planned for that trip. So
Nice. I might have to follow along on that.
Yep. Yeah, you'll want to be there for this part. It'll be good.
Cool. Huh. You know what we should do? We should take a 30-second break for a little commercial spot I put together here.
Nice. Yeah, we might as well use your technology.
Well, the problem is William Tetro's gift has made me a little bit slow on the button pushing this evening. So that old sipping whiskey from Jack Daniels. Damn you, William. This stuff is tasty. But anyway, all right, just sit tight for 30
Finally.
seconds.
Smooth transitions.
Yeah, it's a horrible transition, but here we go. I hit the button. Are you interested in a RealTuners clinic but unable to attend one in person? We occasionally schedule live online presentations that cover specific topics such as tuning for maximum safe power or power and ground design for best performance. We also make those presentations available for streaming download for a small fee on our website, RealTuners.com. Just click on live webinars or look in our web store to watch a preview of each topic. They're the next best thing to a live class. See, that wasn't so hard, was it?
And we're back.
Dude.
I got to get better at those. But anyway, so.
Yeah, let's
Dude, you
talk
did
about
great.
music levels.
Oh, did I? No, that's coming to you guys. It's actually good going out to the rest of the world, but it's not mixed well going back into what you guys are hearing. But I'm getting there.
Oh, why was it loud for everybody?
It would have been loud for you guys. It should have been good out on the broadcast. Who knows? Maybe it sucked. Sorry, guys. We're trying. But anyway, so no, that lets you take a breather. We need to make those longer, I think. Wow. What else should we be chatting about? Chad?
I don't know.
We got like another half hour, man. You know, you guys got questions
what do you got
from the
coming
users?
up in the future outside of Drag Week, outside of Larson's truck? What is Bank Shift Chad doing these days?
Oh, okay. So I have a lot of crazy
Underwater basket weaving.
Yes, a lot of underwater basket weaving. I have so we moved in August into a new house in Upland, which is still SoCal. But anyway, there on the behind the house is one of these big RV garage, you know, and it's not quite as big as the shop that I rent in downtown Upland, but it's close enough that I think I can stuff everything in it and, you know, and have it at home, which also saves me $1,000 a month renting a shop space.
Yeah.
So I have just in the last few days put all of the pallet racking in the garage at the house. And I am going to spend the next few weeks, every few days, bringing a load of stuff from the shop in order to get everything to the house so that I can focus on projects, because this year is the year of Chad's major projects. So I have my aforementioned square body S10 Blazer LS project, which has a GM E-Rod crate motor package in it. And will be completely carb legal, and my goal is to run 9s California smog legal with that thing.
That's pretty lofty, sir.
It is, but it is a dual thanks to a couple of good manufacturers. Number one, there's a lot of California or 50 state legal parts from a lot of manufacturers. Like every Trick Flow LS cylinder head is California emissions legal. There are a lot of camshafts actually out there that are still emissions legal. But the biggest deal is that the supercharger packages from Edelbrock are emissions legal on an E-Rod crate motor package.
Nice.
And which is really cool because That means that with some E85, we can make some real power with that thing. And I think it should run 9s, which is way better than a dead hooker. So, we'll do that. And then my son Cole has a 74 Love truck that is currently bare frame rails.
Oh, yeah. That one's going to be fun. I'm looking for it. That's the one I care about.
Yeah, it's going to be neat. That's going to be a handling deal, a drag race deal. It'll be a all around, thing. We're going to be racing Daphne's wagon. Like I said, just a few more events with it. And then I have my new square body dually project, which we're working on, which is going to get laid on the ground, like super low, super bitchin'. It's a dually. It's great.
See that? I'm jealous of that one.
Yeah,
Me too.
It needs to do big, giant, burnouts, because there's nothing cooler than 4-wheel burnouts,
Yep.
Come join us in the square body side, John.
Yep. The Rise shop truck. He's got a bitchin' square body now.
I know.
Dude, I'm telling you, y'all are making me jealous, because that was the first thing I ever got to drive in life. Because y'all are hitting all the emotional notes on me tonight.
See?
It's true. I mean, the very first thing I ever got to drive, my dad bought a brand new 78 K10 Chevrolet pickup truck. That was the first thing I ever got to drive. And then the very first vehicle I ever bought was a 2-door, 2-wheel drive S10 Blazer, like what you and Barry have got.
Yeah.
So
dude, right. Come on. We're like brothers from another mother.
Exactly. I mean,
we're
you
like
guys
a couple of hairy bagpipes. I mean, come on. We're meant to be together.
Well, I mean, and the goatee. I have to admit, the goatee attracts me.
Hey, dude, it does a lot of people. I got to tell you.
There you go.
Get around.
Then the other, for me too, the other deal is that this year I have to give some attention to my 69 Camaro, because I have a 69 Camaro convertible that none of you people have ever seen run. It's been sitting for years and years and years.
I haven't even seen it run. Yeah,
I know. And I used to street race the living hell out of it, and it's just awesome. But it's been sitting, it's just been totally ignored. And this year it needs to not be ignored. So it's going to need to get some love. We're going to be doing a bunch of tech. I have a bunch of stories that are stacked up from stuff we've done to Daphne's car recently. Just a lot of tech, because the big deal is that once I move everything here to the house, which I'm planning on doing by the end of January, then I can work on tech every week. You know what I mean? And with Scott's help, we're going to do another podcast deal with some Bang Shift stuff. We're going to be doing some live tech segments, all different stuff, lots and lots of stuff.
And no respectable pro touring guy can not have a 69 Camaro. So
I know and you know what though? Here's the thing. This thing right now, it has, which are 456s, because this thing, I can't even envision it as a pro touring car. I really am having a hard time with it, because it's it was always an NHRA stock eliminator car. So right now it has 456s in it. It has had 513s in it. It has a 5500 stall converter and a glide and a small
block. Is this
block.
the car your dad was racing back in the day?
No, well, my dad did after racing his car, but no, this one, my dad and my uncle bought it in 1978. It was the NHRA national champion car 2 years in a row. It has 9 NHRA national records, and it's never been anything but a strip, race car, right? Or pure race car. And so I can't envision it as anything else. But I know in my heart of hearts that the smart thing to do is to put, an LS motor in it and a 6-speed and put suspension in it and go drive it so I can actually go enjoy it. So I'm going to try and do the smart thing and do that, but we'll see. It just depends. Eric Yost is in talking about my dad.
Yeah, we need to hear more about Pop's car. Sorry, but that thing's badass.
It is. My dad has a 68 Z28 Camaro he bought brand new.
DZ302, brand new.
Yeah, and it's a, rev it to $8,000, dump the clutch, super fun car.
Beats the shit out of it too.
Oh yeah, it has a 557 gear in it.
Jesus.
Oh no, it has now. I think it has a 538 because we changed the gears in the trans. So he runs a T56 Magnum in it, so that he can run all that gear 5.0 overdrive. So you can cruise it down the road like it's a normal car. So it's pretty cool. And it's fun. Like he's owned it since brand new. I mean, I grew up with that car, and it's everybody like knows me as the wagon guy and all this stuff. But truthfully, like I grew up as a Camaro guy. I can build a 67 or 8 or 9 Camaro in my sleep. But that also brings up so Dad's doing some work on his car right now. He actually is going to have to repaint it. So they're going to be painting that thing this year. And he's making it into more of the street car because he's working on his 66 Nova project, which has a single turbo 383 LS that I built with Richard Holdner that made 1,040 at 16 pounds. And it's going to be like the total street, drag week and, Rocky Mountain Race Week style car. It's got a full TCI suspension under it. It's really a cool bolt together car, but it's going to be neat. And then I have Rusty because Rusty is coming back this year, Scott. Rusty has to. I mean, Rusty's like it's like a case of chlamydia. You never really get rid of, and it's been sitting in the driveway for the last 3 years, not getting driven. It is currently in the new driveway here at the house, laid out, looking cool. But I think it's time, since there's so much room under the hood, to put a twin turbo LS in it and put a 275 radial under the back of it and go real fast with that thing. Don't you think that'd be cool?
Absolutely.
I know Bill Fowler would love to see that.
Yes.
Yes, I would love to see that.
Right?
As long as it'll still drag the bumpers on with the push of the button going down the road.
Yes, because Bill has seen that firsthand on more than one occasion. The car's on air ride, so those of you that don't know Rusty, it's a 56 four-door station wagon, and it lays the bumpers on the ground when you lower the suspension. So I am often convinced to set the bumpers on the ground while going down the freeway because it makes lots of great sparks and it's really, really fun. So that was the car that Scott Clark and I met surrounded by that car because he was getting out of Jim's truck on the first drag week, and Daphne and I pulled up next to them in Rusty and laid it out on the ground, and Scott's looking at me like, oh my God, what the hell is that thing? It was awesome.
See, now you're talking my language. Twin turbo LS. Now you got my attention.
See? Well, then let's work on it. Let's make it happen.
Let's do it. I got all kinds of stuff for that.
See, so now I need, though, help. I need multiple people to come help me work on my junk every week, or I'm never going to get any of these things done. Because I have 10 years worth of projects to do this year.
Well, me and Rye are on the wrong coast for that now.
I know. I just left California.
I'm kind of close. I could probably come help.
There you go. See,
we'll donate Scott's help. We'll volunteer him.
Yeah, dude, Joe Jolly in the house.
I'm when I actually don't have to work in order to get me out there, and then you got to get me out there. But I'll help.
Okay, good.
I'd love to be helped, but I'm gonna be honest. I got my own shit to work on.
I know, right?
Dude, I'd love to help,
I don't even get to do that.
I really don't fucking want to.
I think what we're going to end up doing is that I'm going to having to have invitational thrash sessions that are 3-day weekends where I just invite everybody to come on out and everybody comes to.
Those are the best. Yep.
Here's the 2 projects we're working on. Grab something and do something. Yeah.
There ain't no minute like the last minute.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? If you're not thrashing right before putting it on the trailer or getting ready to drive out the driveway, then you're not going racing.
Yeah, you're not prepared.
No. Yeah, we actually ran into a problem before going on this last big road trip in Daphne's car with the torque converter. Actually, not the torque converter. Sorry, the flex plate. And so we took the brand new transmission and everything out of the old transmission and everything back in it, and then loaded the new transmission and all the required parts for the swap in the back of the wagon, and then drove it cross country with all those parts in it, raced it at one event without the new trans in it, and then the next week put the new trans in it at my dad's shop. So, because why wouldn't you take your trans swap on the road? Whenever I say this, it just makes me sound sicker and sicker.
There's something wrong with him.
I know, right?
I'm just glad to know there's somebody as dumb as me out there.
Oh, dude, I'm at least as dumber as you are.
Chad's got to check out the Seabiscuit. Seabiscuit's out there.
Yeah, I am the guy that will convince you to do dumb stuff, too, let me tell you.
I mean, we'd be in a lot of trouble if we hung out.
Hold my beer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
It's like that.
I will say that back in the day when Scott Clark and I worked together at Spectre, and we had a chassis dyno at our disposal 24 hours a day.
I didn't get a lot of sleep those days.
Dude.
That was 2 years of sleepless.
Man, we had fun.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
It was fun.
Oh, you learned a lot. Yeah.
Dude, yeah, Bill was in on a whole lot of that. We made a lot of cool horsepower.
Oh, yeah. Well, we got to do stuff like take engines off the engine dyno. Like Bill's engine was one of the first ones we put on the engine dyno. And then we put on, an industry standard DTS. And then we take it, put it in the car, run it through a couple of different transmissions and see the actual horsepower loss and what the numbers really are through a drag racing converter versus a manual trans. And then we did it again with Brian Rock's combo. And it was, learning time was good, but oh my God, I was working like 18, 20-hour days for 2 years straight and didn't mind it. Well, it's kind of funny. They were getting a lot
of I was going to say, we liked it.
Oh, it was a good time.
I was skinnier then because I didn't have enough time to eat.
Same here.
Yeah. Well, and that brings up one thing, because you were talking about that in Bill's Mustang. So, earlier we were talking about bring a sponsor to your form of motorsport or whatever that, isn't involved in it. Bear brakes, like I run Bear brakes on Daphne's wagon and all kinds of stuff. Like Bear is our brake of choice. But, they've always been like, Hal and Bill have been friends forever. And Hal has always been about stopping with big giant brakes on his really bitchin' Mustang. Arguably, Hal has the very first pro touring car ever. Mark Stilo gets credit for that all the time, but he was decades behind Hal Bear. So I'm just going to say that right now. Hal Bear is the inventor of pro touring. And Stilo is a friend of mine, but still. But Hal is all about stopping and road course stuff and all that, even though he used to street race with Bill back in the day. So Bill, though, used his influence to help Bear make their drag racing brake packages, which have become more and more prolific over the last few years.
Because who needs to stop? It's all about the weight. We make fun of the drag racers all the time and their brakes.
I know.
And wait till you see what's coming this year. Where there's going to be big things.
Well, I don't doubt it, because I know that like your remaster, which is, if you guys are out there listening and you need a master cylinder, get the Bear remaster. It is the single greatest development in brake master cylinders ever. Like, it is so awesome. It comes already plumbed with this great Bear adjustable proportioning valve, and it mounts on it all cool. And of course, when I called Bill and said, hey, dude, just a FYI, you need to market these to the drag race guys and mount a line lock to it too, because I made my line lock mount right there in the same spot, blah, blah, blah. Bill was like, oh, Chad, you're so funny. We've already thought of that. That's, coming out, whatever. And I'm like, thanks, Bill. Really, I thought I was being all creative here,
Oh, and, Chad, it was genius. It was genius.
Who'd have thunk you might need a line lock?
Yeah. But there's a lot of circumstances like that where, different companies have different, employees that are into different kinds of racing. Holly has gotten really involved in the drifting world, And that's mostly because of Blaine over there, who, you know, he's into that scene. He likes that. He's got a Silvio with an elf in it. And, you know, that sometimes they don't have somebody that's going to them to build that product for whatever motorsport. So you might be able to be that guy if you can show them that they can sell enough of them, you know. Bear's lucky they got their in-house drag racer, you know, to keep them sane with Bill, but not everybody does.
Outstanding. Why you guys got quiet all of a sudden?
I'm getting a drink.
No worries.
Chad is on the line. What do you expect?
Yeah, he stops talking. It's like, oh, I'm not sure what to say. We got 10 minutes left. That's like an eternity.
I want to go back to that sponsorship thing for just a moment, because for us, when we're making some of those decisions, we do two things. We do a lot of work with builders. So, you know, with the Ring Brothers and with Rad Rides and Roadster Shop. And so a lot of our focus, when you call it, quote, sponsorship, that's linked to a particular project or a particular car, but also working with the builder. That could be a chassis shop. That could be a lot of things. But that's one of the ways that we kind of vet somebody we don't necessarily know. It's like, okay, is this person for real? Because, you know, everybody's got a story and everybody wants stuff, but, you know, is the project ever going to be completed? You know, is it going to turn a wheel in anger? All those things. And we get a lot of that from working with other folks, like a lot of the people that are on, you know, RealTuners. You know, we have a sense, you know, I can talk to Scott and it's like I can separate wheat from chaff, or any of the guys on here will have a good idea. And that's how we make some of our decisions to pick up what we call brand ambassadors. So Mike Jovanis, for example, who runs True Street on the East Coast, has done successfully a couple of drag weeks now, is a great brand ambassador, helps move product, and at the same time uses the product successfully, and, you know, can talk well and work the social media. So just to reinforce that point, that's crucial from our standpoint.
Yep.
So you guys don't want to see, you don't want this some wank-faced guy that's not doing anything. You want the guy that really turning the wheel in anger.
Yeah, if we're selling a racing-related product, absolutely.
Guy needs to be out there beating on it. Yep.
I wanted to. So you sponsor? I didn't catch his name, but you sponsor somebody who races in True Street.
Yes.
And see, I think that's awesome, because that to me that's one of the smaller classes. So if anybody's listening and you're wondering, well, like, I'm too little to get sponsored, they're sponsoring a racer in a True Street class. That is a weekend warrior class. Like, anybody can run True Street. So if somebody in True Street can get a full sponsorship, essentially, well, not full, but
we look at it from the perspective of a manufacturer or a service support guy that gets a lot of mileage. So people pay attention to those classes. I noticed that Bewley is involved with a lot of these guys, trying hard, these littler guys, you know, the littler guys they're better to work with a lot of times. It's not the size of your program, actually. You know, it's what you're trying to do. If you're trying to be the best at whatever it is that you do, at whatever budget level you're at, then I'm interested. I'm at least listening. Tell me your goals, you know, and then show me that you got a good chance of meeting them.
And I only wanted to call that point out just to, you know, highlight the fact that no matter how small you are, there is a potential for you to get some assistance with your program if you demonstrate value.
I would just say absolutely that's correct.
Yeah, I mean, people like Jovanis, you know, he runs True Street, he does very well, and that's my demographic. That's the type of guy that I market my business to, because True Street, it's not class racing. I don't do pro mods. I don't race pro mods. I don't have pro mods that are customers.
You don't deal with a bunch of prima donnas.
Well, no, it's just I mean, that's just not my demographic. I don't deal with that type of car. What type of car? Who's my customer? My customer is the guy with the turbocharged street car who's tapping in to the craze that is the turbocharged stock short block LS market. That's my bread and butter. That's who 99.9% of my customers are.
And your guy is the bang shifter. Your guy is the guy that's like, hey, that's a nice hat. I'd like a hat. those are the guys that are reading Bang Shift every day and that are buying parts from you. 100%.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you've got, the Derek Kellys of the world, the Jeff Spears, the Jacob Wrights, the Barry Cooks, the Joey Heichels. That is my, that's my business.
Target audience. That's your target
my
audience.
Target audience.
Yep.
Those are the guys
that are putting the food on your table. Yeah.
Those are the guys that I work with. Those are the guys that I want to help. It would make absolutely zero sense for me to go out and try and put my brand on a Pro Mod, a Top Fuel car, or a funny car, because that's not what I do. So pretty cool side note, Mike Giovannis has got the most powerful T4 based turbocharged combination that I know exists on the face of the planet. I know that's a totally and completely pointless statement to make, but
no, it's all right, man. In its own segment.
770s out of 347 at that weight. Not so bad.
And a T4 based turbocharger.
That's little.
Yeah, built by Jose at Forced Induction.
Sweet.
It's the single baddest T4 turbocharger I've ever known to exist.
Well, and you guys are talking about, again, small time in the grand scheme of thing racers and what they need to do for their sponsors. Well, knowing what is the big deal for your sponsor or potential sponsor is about talking to them and understanding their market. Because again, like I said earlier, what's a good deliverable for a big company like Comp Cams or Holly is not the same as some smaller company. So know your audience when you're talking about, sending out proposals, and make sure that you can deliver what's really going to be important to them, because it really does depend on the company.
Amen.
Vinny Barboni, Jose for the win.
Jose's a badass with a turbocharger now. There's nobody on the planet that knows turbos like Jose.
That's a claim. That's interesting. That's awesome.
See, for all the listeners that missed it, see right there what John did is a perfect example of how to get free shit from sponsors.
That's it, 100%.
And be able to do it without slurring your speech and hearing the sound like you're gargling something, right? No, I'm just kidding. Jose takes care of his peoples.
I'm sober tonight.
No, that's fine.
Me?
No, that's not what I was talking about.
Okay.
It's all right.
Oh, yeah, I got you. All right.
No, it's good. It's good because Jose takes care of his peoples. That's all I know. You know what I mean? That's all that matters to me is guys that are out there like you guys standing behind their customers, that good claims, big, bold claims. Somebody's out there going to be like, oh, that's bullshit. They don't know what he's talking about. Nah, you know what? Push back on that. I love that kind of loyalty and camaraderie. That's good shit. So
he definitely got us some custom turbos for our Black Vet in a pretty short amount of time. So I was pretty impressed with that.
That's cool. That helps.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, you were just lucky. You were just lucky I had those on order and you needed them. So you got something that was going to go on my shelf. So
you know what? No matter how I ended up with it, That's all that matters.
You haven't given me any feedback on the new lungs for the Unicorn yet either.
Yeah, we ripped the whole wiring harness out. We're putting a new harness in it because the harness that was in it, literally every time we took it out, we had to patch something. It was just we tried to take it out that weekend after putting those new turbos on it, and we couldn't even back it out of the shop because it was cutting in and out and all kind of just retarded. Like the car wouldn't even turn off. Like the dash wouldn't turn off anymore. Like nothing was. Geez. Yeah, so we're like, you know what? It's time.
Time to start over.
It was hacked up, from day one, and it had they had moved the fuse box inside the car under the dash. It was all just a complete mess, and we basically just been patching it just to get it by, and it really had cost us a lot of issues over the years. So it's all completely ripped out now. It's getting rebuilt.
Call Painless.
No, we're doing.
You got to see the harnesses Chris makes, man. No, I love the guys at Painless, but yeah, Chris is doing the
yeah, that's not even.
Their harnesses, his harnesses are badass.
Next level stuff there.
Yeah.
Nice.
They're sweet.
That car is going to be crazy. I can't wait for it to get running with the 88s on it.
Chris says screw sponsorship. He's got paying customers. He's got jobs and timelines, and it's kind of different for him. But
right.
Yeah. It rivals SpaceX.
Yeah. That's not. It's awesomer than SpaceX.
you know what's really cool is that World Cup. We did pretty well with the 240, and a couple prominent guys in the industry came up to me and they're like, "Hey, we'd like to work with you guys on some parts for your car." And
they saw you doing well.
I didn't even have to ask for anything. It was really cool. They just came up and offered to work with us, and now Dave from Head Games and Greg from GSC both came up to me and they're like, "Hey, we'd like to work with you guys." And so now we've got a cool little partnership, and they're helping us with some go fast.
Because they saw you do cool stuff. You didn't even have to reach out to them. There you go.
Yeah.
We're actually hunting people like that.
Sixes on 6 cylinders is pretty damn cool.
Ridiculous.
You think? Yeah.
Yeah, Chad, they did what we wanted to do years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Oh, yeah. We were planning that out, weren't we, Scott?
Yeah. There's a car out there that's halfway done that's just awesome. Still got potential. But
yeah, we wanted to go 6s on 6 cylinders with leaf springs, and we could have done it too.
Yeah.
Had the combo for it, man. That still pisses me.
One of these years, they may pull that back out.
Yeah. Well, one thing too, you guys are sitting here, talking about Chris, talking about Jose, etc. One of the things to me that is like really important about who you partner with, whether they're sponsoring you or not, is like people that you like and that, are like-minded, and, because we all think about it that, what do you need to get something out of a company, and, and like you said, being presentable and well-spoken and all those things. But the truth of the matter is too, make sure that the company you're going to, do something with is really a company you want to be associated with. And sometimes you don't know that until you start talking to them. But if they don't really, fit with your personality or with your race team's goals or whatever, don't be afraid to walk away from something, because it'll turn into more work than it's worth if it's not a fit.
Just do the walking away before the commitment's been made is all I ask.
Yes, exactly. No, but you know what I mean? That's
truth.
That really matters. I mean, the personality of a company and the personality of you and your race team, they really do have to work together, or it'll just be more work than it's worth, so.
Amen. All right. That's good. That's a good note to end on. Obviously, Chad, stick around because we like to bullshit for a little bit after the fact, but I'm going to end that, wrap it up, put you guys on mute for the night. Thanks for being out tonight, Chad. Appreciate it, dude.
Absolutely.
It's nice to have you out. We'll have you back on more often. We put him on the chat, so like these other guys we've added recently, we're going to have them rotate them back in as frequently as they'll feel free to join in. So
awesome.
Yeah, huge thanks to all the rest of my guys for being on tonight and talking, and I'm going to put them on the mute, and I'm going to talk a little bit about stuff you need to know. So mainly this RealTuners Essentials, EFI Essentials class in Houston, Texas. That's like 3 weeks. January 20th, we just opened that up, and I want to fill that class up. I want 16 people on that class. People are starting to sign up already, but seriously, you're Houston people out there, and let people know. I'm going to start blasting this stuff, the marketing campaign stuff tomorrow, and I anticipate that class to get filled up pretty quickly, but check it out. You can go to realtuners.com to register. If you simply just got to go click on RealTuners live classes, and you'll see down at the bottom there's a schedule. I want you guys to show up. Houston, Texas. I got a ton of people asking me to do this class in Texas, so it's January 20th and 21st. Covers all basic standalones. If you're into Holley, you're into Haltech. If you're into AEM, these guys are a big AEM shop. Come to this class because we're going to talk about doing standalones. We're going to demonstrate everything from an install all the way up to configuration testing, the part everybody misses. And then we're going to actually do all the drivability tuning and then the wide open tuning. We also talk about stuff like traction control, power management with the different systems that are out there and how it's done. We look at data from cars I've worked with in the industry for different questions you're going to have, questions about setting up dry nitrous. Well, I pretty much got a car at just about every level from working with a lot of these guys here with great data examples. My gosh, I got stuff that Delgado has showed us from his Motec kit that he's working on, or his own specific Motec firmware image on the M1 series stuff that is amazing. And we get to look at that data. We look at that stuff and talk about it. The goal of these classes is to help you get up and on your feet tuning for yourself and taking care of your street, strip, track project, whatever, low prep, no prep. We cover all that stuff. So definitely worth checking out. Register at RealTuners.com for the EFI tuning classes. Check out the Houston, Texas class. Hotels are cheap down there, and it's a cheap place to fly too, so it might be a good class to travel to if you want to. The only other one I got coming up right after that is February 3rd and 4th. We're doing one in Melbourne, Florida at Trick Pro Motorsports, another EFI Essentials class. Same program. So definitely let your friends know. If you're in some Facebook groups or whatever, we're going to start hitting all the Facebook posts and stuff in the next couple of days. But Florida and Houston, Texas coming up January 20th, 21st in Houston, and February 3rd and 4th in Melbourne, Florida. So looking forward to seeing my Florida guys. If you're waiting for a more advanced class, we're looking at doing another Central Florida one in Gainesville sometime probably in March. Looking at Dallas-Fort Worth area in March as well. So anyway, huge shout out to the guys for chiming in tonight. Very cool to have everybody on board. Thanks all you guys for listening, sticking it out for 2 hours, and we will talk to you next week. Everybody have a good night.